Hey guys, welcome back to Disco Elysium. Exactly where we left off, and we've just spoken to, I forget his name, this chap, who was told us about what happened on our first night here. So let's speak to the other two, see what happens. Grumbles an unshaven man with a ruddy nose. He narrows his eyes at you as if in recognition, then turns his head away. The nauseous odour emanating from the drunken man is strong and familiar.
Don't you call her, you hear? Don't call Abigail.
Who's Abigail?
Oh, Abigail. Don't you fucking call Abigail.
You're not going to get anything from this guy who's too drunk. Tell me about your friends. He glares at you. Don't you effing call her, hear me? His voice trembles with every word, becoming even weaker. Abigail, he whimpers in the end. Yeah, we're not going to get anything from him. Don't call Abigail, he whimpers softly, his voice trailing off into nothingness. What about this guy?
Good to see you, friend. Do I have deals set up for you, buddy boy?
He spreads his arms as if wanting to embrace you. What are you talking
So
about?
what do you want? I got smokes. They're cheap. Very cheap. I got Pilsner. Great deal. You won't get a better deal on that piss. Spirits I can let go for 300 real. Also I have speed. And by speed I mean amphetamine.
Quite the business venture you've set up here. Oh, he gets a proud gleam in his eyes. The system's been good to old Rosemary here, and I'm milking her like a bitch goat in the backyard. What do you mean? You see, friend, he raises his index finger. Man makes his own luck, and I made mine real good. Got my hands on 3 bottles of liqueur exquise, whatever. Sold 2 to the fellows around here, and immediately invested the profit. Bought cigarettes, bought beer, even bought a bit of speed. And look at me now. I've got everyone on my hook. He spreads his arms and smiles a crooked, toothless smile. The hook? Where is it? I can't see it. Looks like you're on your own hook too. Of course, of course, of course. The drunk raises his Pilsner and nods. It is what it is, you know. What it's always been. People, buddy boy. It's the people. Why do the bottle of spirits cost 300 real? See, friend, he brings out a 1 litre bottle with bluish liquid. The mouth is corked shut. It's real valuable. Worth every real if you catch my drift. Got it from a bit of a business venture. Nod, let me speak. You know, it's funny actually. He bursts out laughing, then takes 3 gulps of his Pilsner and stares at you intently. He's finding it difficult to focus his watery gaze. What is? What? Keep him talking. What do you mean, what? What did you think was funny earlier? This guy, he says and shakes his index finger at you. Oh, this guy, I don't know, whatever. Where did you get the bottle of spirits from? Oh, this is medicinal spirits, the good stuff. Got it from the doctor's office. I got one of those scientific ampoules a few months ago. Torpedo, they call it. It's supposed to keep a man from taking a drink. He spits at a nasty yellow clot on the ground before you. Didn't stop me for shit, that's for sure. His voice rings with pride. 5 lemons with half a pack of butter and you're good to go. It's a good tip, I should remember it. Well, it really isn't, he croaks. In a week the goddamn kidneys started giving me all kinds of hell. Finally the missus took me to a private doctor's office. Not a charity, the real thing. Those assholes, he gets visibly angry. Those assholes charged me 4 real to remove the damn thing. I came out on top after all. Okay, how? The idiots left me alone in there. I used to teach high school biology. I know what doctors use to preserve dead thingies. He gets an excited gleam in his eyes. Swipe 3 cans of this blue medicinal stuff from the back room. Threw the snakes out and voila. This is what's left is this beautiful blue stuff. He shakes the bottle. 98.7%, almost pure alcohol. Snakes are intestinal worms. 2 I already sold to these fine gentlemen here. He nods at his companions. But this last one is yours for 3 real if you want it. Don't say it. I think it will prove useful, yeah. Three real and it's yours, friend. The deal of a lifetime. Well done, you got it. That's a much more reasonable price right there. Makes sense now. Okay, yeah. With all that dialogue, I think there's... Yeah, let's get it. He hands you the bottle. Just make sure to enjoy that one, friend. If you drink this, then you will die. That's a fact. And that's why we're going to save you from yourself and store this as a sellable item. Go and sell it at the pawn shop for a profit. I'm off. Leave. In a civilized world, it's a custom to tip the shopkeep, friend, but come back anyway. He waves you off. Interesting. Okay, so we bought it for 3, we sell it for 8, we get 5. Nice. Quite a lot to sell, actually. Well, we've easily made rent for today, maybe for tomorrow as well. Cool. Anything over this way now? Oh no. Okay. Okay, so there's a way up there somehow. Oh, maybe up here and then. Okay, this area looks pretty massive. I'm sure I'm going to miss loads of stuff here. The remaining windows rattle from a strong gust of wind. They're covered in a thick layer of grime. They must have been like this for 40 years. Lieutenant, can you make out what's inside? No, he shakes his head. The windows rattling their frames. I won't even try, you know. He takes his glasses off. I had a partner once. They called him Eyes because he had to show me things. It's that bad. Just nod. You see a once bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld Electrical R&D. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, "Tomorrow is just a whisper away." Looks like tomorrow never came. Is that a Bond film? He raises the collar of his bomber jacket. Turn away.
And Mikhail, notice the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with.
Blonde man stands next to his son, pointing to the weather-worn ruins. He sees you approaching and smiles.
You, officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez. I'm Trant Heidelstadt. You must be Kim Kitsuragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
Nice to meet you.
You and Kim know each other?
No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail, say hi to the officers.
He rests his hand on the boy's shoulder. The child stays hidden behind them, the hem of his father's coat, clutching to his worm-themed colouring book.
Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into worms lately.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many radio
But I
shows.
assume you're not here for giant worms, when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
He points to the building again. Wow, get a load of this guy. He really enjoys his trivia. The Orbis programming language was named after its inventor, Victor Orbis, a cybernetician from Grad. They run Vox in the Occidental countries. I'm looking for a suspect. Have you seen anyone suspicious around? No, I'm afraid I can't help you with this one, officer. It's just a regular day off for me and Mikhail here. He pats his son's head. So you haven't seen anyone around? No, I'm sorry. As I said, this is just a day off. We just arrived anyway. He's telling the truth, he hasn't seen anyone. So fascinating about an empty old building. Aha, but it's not just any empty old building. He raises his hand to his eyes to shield himself from the pattering rain. All four of you turn to admire the mural before you. What not a lot of people know is, this used to be the R&D department of Feld Electrical, and Feld, which now sells ink cartridges mostly, was once the top dog in the turn of the century cybernetics boom. Look at the building looming over. It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest on a broken windowsill. I don't think I've ever heard of this Feld Electrical. It's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains. He adjusts his suit jacket. It started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago, after an aggressive move to he said Revachol now, and I've been calling it but anyway. Moved to Revachol. Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in the business machines. He gestures towards the building, but Feld had an ace up their sleeve, or should I say, they were developing an ace up their sleeve. He grins. I'm mixing my metaphors here. What was that ace? It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building, that they developed prototypes for a, he pauses for effect, tape computer. A tape computer? An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution, revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bringing them to the average consumer, which is a feat of engineering even today's giants Ream, ICN and ZAM haven't achieved yet. He grins, admiring the sentence he just produced. He assumes something like a combat stance, facing the wind. What happened? Indeed, what? The revolution. The revolution? Boy wipes his nose on his sleeve. He nods. Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes, possibly from this very building or one of the adjacent ruins. He pauses, pointing to the other building, then continues. All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for the middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D. Showing that they built the boardwalk. What happened to the engineers? You saying that they built the boardwalk? Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war. A pleasure wheel? The lieutenant looks wistfully at the horizon, as if picturing gondolas rising to the sky. Yes, to lure in the star engineers. This part of Martinez was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to be become a global centre for innovation in cybernetics, but history had other plans. What happened to the engineers, the company people? Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. He smiles again, as if he's somehow personally responsible for this bleak turn of events. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now if you were to ask about tape computers, he means that the boys got shot by the communists. The boys were bourgeoisie. Turn to Michael. Tape computers, right? Tape computers, he nods, wind tussling his suit jacket. What did the revolutionaries do with those advanced tape computers? They used them for military communications, he says, while his son looks up idly, chewing on the corner of his worm-themed colouring book. But also to write and send out press releases, the most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars. What was that? What's the March decree? I mean, the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created Commune of Revachol on the 7th of March in the year 02. a short-lived legislative foundation for a short-lived utopia. It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. The singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Revocol on her political concept album, Bones Bezos d'Inchalindi. You should read it. Every local library in Revocol stocks a copy of the decree. I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. He looks at his son, who starts giggling, his face hidden behind the book. Oh well, tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention. The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion. I wanted to ask something else. Okay, thanks for the information. No thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation indeed. Pick your brain? If anything, this was rather one-sided. He did the talking, whatever. Interesting. So we've got all these down and out folks, and then we've got this guy having what appears to be a holiday with his son. Huh. Interesting. Oh, we can't get in there then. Someone's left an unidentifiable article of clothing on this railing. It smells really bad. Take a closer look. Streaked with dried seagull shit and tangled with pieces of seaweed. A dangling arm suggests that there might be a jacket beneath a crust of filth. Seems likely that it was left in the surf until someone laid it out on the bench to dry out. Unfortunately, that just seems to have stiffened it into a shapeless mass. Please tell me you're not taking that with you. It might be a clue. A clue? You think our suspect is a seagull who's been defecating on unsuspecting jackets? No. Me neither. You should still take it. Yep, may as well. If we can. I don't see why we shouldn't. Two encyclopedia minus one perception. Interesting. Coin-operated weighing machine hasn't been used for a decade. Another postcard. Piece of candy. How do we get into there? I wonder. The smell is awful and familiar. Hold on, that is awful. Doesn't help, you can still smell it. What is it? Don't you recognise it? That hideous pungency, that faintly cloying sweetness? Only death smells like that. Something cold wakes in the pit of your stomach. Fear. The signs of decaying meat announces itself from 24 meters away. A warning, a memento mori. Kim, what's that smell? Lieutenant has already brought a handkerchief to his nose. Eyes up, detective. Something's not right here. Careful there, these floorboards look rotten and weak. Working class corpse. A man lies on the boardwalk, his limbs bent and neck turned at an unnatural angle. Right next to him is an empty bottle of spirits. In his cramped hand, a chewing gum wrapper. Chewing gum wrapper. Half of his body is slipped between the cracked boardwalk, starting with the left leg. The fall is left him broken, contorted like a sad puppet. The smell is not as bad as a 2-week-old corpse, but it's definitely heading there. Hold on, the lieutenant squats next to the corpse and examines his face. Two bulging eyes stare back at him, void of any signs of life. Lividity is faintly pronounced. Whoever this is, he's been dead for 2 days, no longer. He stands up and shivers as a gust of wind blows through his bomber jacket. We need to investigate. Calm now, carefully. Just another day. Just another dead body. Study the man's clothes. He's wearing mud-caked boots, beige trousers and an old brown leather jacket with a bright blue lining. There are traces of kebab sauce on his chest. Kebab sauce? Okay. The leather jacket suits him well. It must be custom made. Search his pockets. You find some sunflower seeds and a rain-soaked library card, folded into two. His jacket feels sodden and heavy under your hand. Good, we should take a look at that library card after this is done. Study the man himself. The man has fallen through a crack in the boardwalk and hit his head against the metal bench. Coagulated blood covers his black hair. One of his feet is still tangling through the hole. A bad fall. It might have been dark outside. This place is a minefield in the dark. When damp, these boards are really slippery. Even a sober man could lose their balance here. His expression is dull like the sea behind him. Drops of water shining on his moustache. His eyes, empty and wide, look frightening in their frozen glaze. Height 170 to 175, curly hair, stout build, age approximately 50-60 years. Study the surroundings. There's some dried blood on the metal bench, right where the corpse's head rests. The floorboards are rotten and slippery wet around the hole. An empty bottle lies nearby. A chewing gum wrapper is clutched in his fist. Be very, very careful where you step here. So, examine the man's head. A dried chunk of blood covers the hair at the back of his head, an open wound. It's sticky and cold to your touch. This is what killed him. I don't see any other major wounds, do you? It's hard to say. Seems like the head wound just failed. It's exactly the shape of the bench. Examine the bottom. A 0.75 litre Tallulah vodka with its cap missing. There's hardly anything left inside. Tar all around us. He looks at two of the bottles forgotten near the coin-operated viewer. Examine the chewing gum wrapper. Rabowski, spearmint chewing gum, green leaves on the cover. The man's mouth is half agape from the terror of the fall. Look at him. The blackness of death, stench. You think you see white chewing gum too. Confirmed. Nearly the whole pack is there, solidified on his lower rear teeth. He ate the whole pack, right? It's to cover the smell of alcohol before going home. The worst thing is, the man shudders from the cold. I've seen it before, almost the same scenario. Even the chewing gum is always the same. Step back. The entire boardwalk creaks in the wind as you take a step back. Who is this man? Looks like one of the locals. He'd have to know this spot to come here. You don't just walk over here. He looks south to where he came. But that's a lazy assumption. What do you think? I think labelling him as an alcoholic is a bit premature. We don't know anything yet. We do know that he was married. Kim points at the ring on the man's left hand, with the flesh around it swollen and grey. But you're right, let's not run ahead. For now, all we know is that he's an unidentified middle-aged man found dead on the Martinez boardwalk. What do you think happened here? Death by misadventure. He slipped and fell through the boardwalk, a truly unfortunate accident. If it wouldn't have been for that bench, he'd be alive. Could it be related to the lynching, Ruby? No, I don't see anything that points in that direction. For now, let's treat this case as a simple albeit sad accident unrelated to the murder case. Yes, but what if there's a killer on the loose? 2 suspicious deaths in such a short time. Fred. You're right, connecting it with the lynching is a stretch. Without any further evidence, yes. Think he was drunk? Oh yes, the lieutenant nods. What about alcohol poisoning and liver failure? Some symptoms of acute alcohol poisoning could have definitely played a role here. Severe confusion, respiratory depression, unpredictable behaviour, but I think that death arrived through head trauma, not liver failure. What about the kebab? What about it? The deceased ate some kebab, he shrugs. It's probably from a nearby place, maybe in the Pox. Sometimes a kebab is just a kebab. Well, it's true. But someone should be held responsible for this broken boardwalk. It's dangerous. They'll seal this place off after the news reached the coalition officials. I doubt that they have enough resources to actually repair the boardwalk. Not that sealing it off would keep anyone away. All it does is keep the city council's hands clean. He smiles sourly. Right. What should we do with him? From where I stand, I can see 2 options. We either take the case and follow the leads to identify the body on our own, or we report back to the station and leave this for our colleagues to handle. We found him, we should finish this. But we're already on a different case. Hold on, what about field autopsy? Field autopsy isn't necessary if the cause of death doesn't appear criminal. This looks like a simple accident to me. I'd say we should just write down head trauma and leave it at that. Let's keep this detail as short as possible. The sooner we get back to finding Ruby, the better. Yes, but isn't that kind of sloppy? Maybe, but we don't really have that much time or resources to spare. The guys at the processing will take care of the rest. Okay, let's not take the case then. Alright, the station is going to want details, however. Let's examine the library card that you found on the man's body, see if that has any clues, then we can call the station from Kanema and hand over the case. The library card is folded in two and still slightly wet to the touch. The front side reads, Central Jamrock Public Library Card, issued to Bilik Mejian, expired July 53. Billy is a unisex name, could be the deceased or his family member. Look inside. Whoever owns this card is an avid reader. You'll find a list of books written in blue pencil. Radio Thriller, Stand a Little Less Between Me and the Sun. The last one in the list is The Glinting Curve by M. Tybalt, I don't know. A library stamp indicates that the book has been returned. Most of these titles seem to be in the sci-fi genre, some thrillers are too. Look at the back side. If lost, please return the card to the library. Dial 00502552211 or visit us at Merrow Street 7E8 Jamrock. Business hours 9 to 18. We already decided to let the station handle this case, so there's no need to call the library. Okay. Good, we've examined the library card. That should be enough for our colleagues. Now we can call the station from the Kanema and hand over the case. Okay. Grim. Trash can. Some tear, an empty cigarette package and a crumpled kebab wrapper in the trash bin. Examine the tear. 2 empty bottles of Tallulah vodka and a can of black potent porter is all you find. No, there's more in there. Liver strawberry liqueur, plus some Pilsner bottles too. Better not pick them up, they seem unhygienic. A tragedy, the lieutenant looks in the can, eyes watering from the smell. Examine the cigarette package. Whoever tossed it in here was a heavy smoker. The brand name reads Red Astra. Red Astra is the black market version of Astra cigarettes, known for their high tar content. Examine the kebab wrapper. You see traces of mayonnaise and ketchup on it, as well as tomato wedge. The wrapper reads Shish Kebab Revocol. It's no older than a day or two, no mould yet. It's hard to concentrate in the smell, the sea air brings some relief. Okay. Well, that was a bit of a surprise. Okay. Just want to go back around here and see if there's any way that we missed of getting into this place, because you blatantly can. Maybe it's from underneath. Did I not open that box? Apparently not. Who's this guy now?
Here we go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys. Not out of this jam.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. Looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officer.
His self-conscious enthusiasm renders his movements ungainly. He looks like your understanding of a
Is that
scientist.
the police? Why's the police here?
Don't worry, Gary. I'll handle it.
You must be Morel, the cryptozoologist.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Where did you hear about this guy again? That's sarcasm. He takes no pleasure from your appearance. Lena sent me. She's been really worried about you and is waiting for you to get back.
Of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn waterlock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the 881.
Ah, that's where we remember him from. The 881 is a raised motorway that separates Martinez from Jamrock. Labyrinth of streets underneath it makes it difficult to pass, not like walking over a nice waterlock. Yeah, the waterlock's been fixed. It was fine when I crossed
good.
it.
We should really be getting back. Gary could use a hot shower and a warm bed.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary, we can go soon. If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long.
Sir, your wife is waiting for you.
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then we're going.
Your view fastens a bit of netting that's come loose. I'm looking for a suspect. Have you seen a woman with a red hat? With red hair, sorry. Who seem to be on the run? I'm afraid not, officer. I've been busy digging around in the reeds for days, looking for signs of insect activity. I'm less interested in the mammalian concerns, to be perfectly honest. The lieutenant takes a short note in his notebook, then gestures for you to proceed. Tell me about this phasmid you're looking for. Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it. What makes it so difficult to find? Good question. Being a phasmid of the order of Phantasmodea, a ghost insect, my days, it disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. He looks around. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there? And I suspect it may also have developed other specialised techniques to protect itself from predators, or scientists in our present case. What sorts of specialised techniques is the plasmid using to hide itself? It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defences that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex. But I cannot describe how these defences work, much less how they evolved, without studying a live specimen. How big is this phasmid? I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodea zunsis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm, so he leaves the conclusion up to you. Seems puny, to be honest. Why are you so interested in this stick book? Aren't there more sensational animals out there? He flashes you a sideways smile. Typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for. Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindan phasmid would be the apex of any cryptozoologist's career. But to study it and its defences, find out how it stayed hidden so long, he shakes his head. What have you discovered so far? Very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third hand accounts. So no one's ever found one. Not yet, he holds up an index finger. That's what makes it a cryptid. The lieutenant interjects. Just out of curiosity, if there's no proof of its existence, how do you know it's real? I know it's real, the cryptozoologist says, briskly, even though he seems taken aback by it. It's clear that his obsession with the phasmid is driven by something more than the pure pursuit of scientific advancement. By which I mean, he says, gathering himself, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian phasmid is more than mere superstition. What makes you think that the phasmid is here in Martinez? There was a credible sighting here recently. A pair of teenagers described a creature that matched the Insulindan phasmid to an uncanny degree, despite not knowing what it was themselves. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore. Maybe the Insulindan phasmid has died out. The cryptozoologist shakes his head vigorously. I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis. He means asexual reproduction. The females of the species don't need to mate to reproduce viable eggs. This makes it easier for a species with small population to survive. That's pretty clever. Yes, the Insulindan phasmid is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. But as a scientist, I try my best to remain dispassionate. Lena seems pretty eager for you to return, and I'm eager to return to her, I assure you, but I can't leave before we finish with these traps. He looks south where Elena would be. My wife understands that just as well as anyone. Come on, Morrill, we've been soaking out here for days, it's time to go back. And not leave the traps? Absolutely not, he yells in response. I won't let Lena down. Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon. I didn't know the phasmid was so important to Lena. Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting, on record, one of only 4 of this century, and it's hers. She's seen it? Really? She sighted the phasmid? Yes, that's how we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine, he coughs then continues. Suffice it to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Inchlindian phasmid together. I can't abandon course now. Another cough into his fist this time. Maybe you could go back to the whirling, warm up and come back to check the traps later. No, the traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel? He's dead set on this. I could go for some trap setting. What if we check the traps for you? He looks at you with obvious surprise. I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer. Keth is my method, I'm its sign. Well, he doesn't know what to say. Be that as it may, I'd really appreciate the help. Where are the traps? There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula by the boathouses there. He points south, it's very near. Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast, and it's behind a small sand dune there, on your way to the old radio tower after the church. The third is set near the canal where you crossed, by a concrete slab, a big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them, he gestures to the trap in front of him. You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just set it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry. Seems like a lot. Do it really have time for this extracurricular venture? What, aren't you having fun? Even relative to examining a week-old corpse, I'm not sure mucking about in these reeds qualifies as fun, but have it your way, detective. What do I do if I encounter one? Bring it to me at once, just make sure the trap is closed tight. He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even to himself. What if I encounter it in the wild? That's highly unlikely, officer, but in the event that you do, he takes out a small white spray can. I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed. It's made out of musk and research chemicals. The pheromone should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent, will last you about a week. Lay it on me. He douses you with the odd smelling spray and then gives you a satisfied nod. Lieutenant wrinkles his nose. I hope you're not buying this. He dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it would be precious, like holy water. It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research. He looks at the lieutenant with disdain, then puts the spray back in his pocket. I'm ready, let's get to it. Right, which means you two can pack up and go back to the whirling. Finally, someone's talking sense. Okay, thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask. We'll be gone once you get to it. If it's more cryptid-related business you want to discuss, you'll have time for that later too. But what if the information is vital? On the hunt. What about his eager to leave friend Gary there? Talk to him too, perhaps. I'll get going.
Hello, I'm Gary. Very generous of you to help us out, officer. Yellow man. I mean, officer.
Lieutenant raises his eyebrows slightly and takes out his notebook. Yellow man, interesting. This is something to ask him about after a little probing
I'm just waiting for
first.
my friend Morrell to finish up with his insect traps, so we can return to civilization.
Not a lover of the great
I like
outdoors.
nature, just not this bloody coast. It's mostly drunks and degenerates that come here.
Degenerates. This man respects authority too much to see the truth inscribed upon thine own visage. Pretend thou art a paragon of virtue.
I've been tempted on occasion, but someone has to stay strong for Revocol.
He said Revocol. Okay. His gaze shifts to the pile of soggy logs at his feet. He pronounces Revocol with a hard K, unlike other people. Yeah, because we're just like, we like that, okay? said Revocol. I like to pronounce it the hard way, the old way, the Vespertine way, he nods solemnly. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been staying truthful to the history of this place, the law, you know what I mean? The stupid way. No. It's a secret rite, a very fringe nationalist handshake, probably. Do you know anything about the man hanged behind the whirling in rags? Oh, so that's what the RCM is in Martinez about. Great. He nods in sincere approval. Great to hear someone's finally taken care of that. So you do know something about it? No, he shakes his head emphatically, then corrects his tie. Nothing. He was some kind of mercenary, but everyone here knows that. I'm just glad to hear you're looking into it, that's all. He's not feeling very comfy in his clothes, is he? Strange. He didn't kill him or anything, but there's something going on here. Is this your mug? My mug? Why would you think that? You said yellow man, that's not something many people go around saying. Really? I hear it all the time. All in jest, of course. No offence meant to anyone. Alright, I believe you. You look like the kind of man who knows it's a crime to lie to an officer. Okay, I admit it. I threw the mug away in the trash container behind the hostel. I know I shouldn't have, and I'm very sorry, officer. He pauses. You're not going to find me, are you? Nah, Gary, I just want information. Oof, he's visibly relieved. Thank you. You won't regret this. I won't use another man's property to dump my garbage ever again. I don't know what got into me, really. Work has been stressful lately. Damn Coach price dumping us out of competition. What did you do, Gary? Nothing. Just answering some questions, helping out the law. How did you get into the trash container? I knew a guy who works with trash collection services. CS Municipal. He gave me a master key for the trash containers in Martinez. Why would you need to get into everyone's trash? So I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff, he says, bowing shamefully like a fallen knight. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell. The damn Himians run it like a mob. I'm sorry, okay? I thought I could cut costs. I shouldn't have disgraced myself. Disgraced? The lieutenant raises his eyebrows and looks up. No need for the histrionics, sir. It was after all, just a trash container. He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer. Gary, did you put the clothes of a murder victim, the man who was hanged behind the whirling in rags, into that trash container? Officer, please, he raises both hands. Let me explain, it's not like that. Do. I was only cleaning up. I lived right across the yard from where he was hanged and saw him stripped naked. All the clothes lying around in the yard, smelling. People are animals, you know. Yes. What happened? Then I came out to clean up the rags because no one else would. I put them into the Whirling's trash along with the broken mug, admittedly. He changes his mind mid-sentence. Okay, I was coming to throw the mug away, and well, I threw the mug there and the clothes too. Right, it was just civic duty, the lieutenant remarks drolly. Exactly, that's exactly what it was, civic duty. As he shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks, like the clinking of glass beads against one another as they roll across the hardwood floor. You've heard this sound before, but where? What's that strange sound? What sound? That clinking I just heard when you moved. Really? He fans his arms out slowly, and this time his motions are soundless. There's lots of weird stuff out here in the reeds. There are insects, trash, could be the wind shifting some garbage nearby. The sound you heard was not the sound of something easily abandoned. You wouldn't know anything about the victim's missing armour, would you? Armour? No, he changes his mind. I mean, yes, of course. I know he was wearing armour, but I don't know anything about it. An infant could see he's not telling the truth, but he's too scared to admit more wrongdoing. There's something going on here. You should observe him more closely after this topic is concluded. Let's move on for now. I hope I could help your investigation in my small way. He's visibly relieved it's over. You're surprised to see my colleague. Not many Sealites here or anywhere other than Sale. I meant no offence, truly. Do you have a problem with Sealites? No problem at all. He flashes an impenetrable smile at Kim. Sounds like some conspiracy topic. You might be able to discuss it with him when the lieutenant isn't here, if you can remember it. Return without the lieutenant for this. Your balance organ thinks it's a waste of time. Are you a cryptozoologist too? No, I help Morrell with research sometimes. and I've learnt some things along the way, but I don't usually go in for picnics like this on my own. There probably is a follow-up to this, but you can't think of any. It doesn't matter, waste of time anyway, gotta keep moving. We'll try this, we'll probably fail, but we'll try it. Ah, nice. That t-shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together, as if something is ready to rip out from underneath. Something worn underneath it? Yes, like a piece of ceramic armour, for example. One that makes a clicking sound when the plates meet each other, resembling pearls or marbles, stolen from the corpse in the yard near where he lives. I see you're a connoisseur of high-quality combat gear. He freezes, then sighs heavily. I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry I didn't tell you at once. He unbuttons the shirt. You see gleaming white ceramic shine underneath. A thin layer of interlocking plates cover his gaunt torso. I was ashamed of what I did, and I didn't want you to know. We're not detecting falsehood, sire. He's gearing up to admit the truth. Gary, what's going on? Later, Morel. I've got apologising to do. No, you've got explaining to do. The lieutenant's tone is icy. Give me that armour now. He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. Soon it is in your hand, smelling of his sweat. But so light to hold, like a bag of cotton. Why did you really put those clothes in the trash? Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching them do it. And they scattered his clothes all over the yard. Everything was smelling. He looked at his feet. So I went there to take out my trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, him swinging up there, and he swallows. I had a lapse of honour, sir. I thought, he's a foreigner. They all say he wasn't from here. Only the cuirass was left, so I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning. No one ever saw me. I took it with me. It was a mistake. Had I known I'd give it to you, had I known it'd give you guys trouble, I wouldn't have. His lips started quivering. We detect insincere contrition here, sir. He's not trying to flatter anyone. It's okay. The lieutenant jots something down in his notebook. It was a loose end, and you're tying it up now. I'm so effing sorry I called you Yellow Man, he says silently. Sea Light officers commanded the suzerain's navy. Most of them sided with King when... He shakes his head. They were thoroughly conservative men, he realises suddenly. Why did you lie to me, Gary? Because I was weak, he says, staring at nothing particular. I should have told you the moment I saw you, but... The hell, Gary, you in trouble? I'll explain later. He doesn't muster up the strength to yell. Do you know who killed the hanged man? I always thought it was the Union. Some Union hardasses lynched him because of the strike. But almost everyone in town knows that. I wish I could tell you more, he shakes his head. This is all he knows. Are we done here, Gary? Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again. He looks around, relieved of some burden, his mouth still quivering. Thanks for your cooperation, and leave. Well, interesting. Man, this area just goes on. Hypnogamma plus 3 morale. Nice. Look around. Behind you, a ruined residential building looms over the reeds, shielding from them from the wind. You rustle confidently, in tune with the pitter-patter of the rain. Reach for the trap. Locusts are crawling around in the trap, confused but uneaten. You see no carnivorous reed phasmid gorging on them. Big surprise, the lieutenant grins mirthlessly. Anyway, 1 down, 3 to go. Damn, I was hoping it'd be in the first one. No need to grin, I'm not expecting to find anything. I'm helping some citizens and getting some fresh air. I meant no offence, just the lieutenant doesn't know how to finish the sentence. He looks at you, putting the trap back on the ground. A scattering of bullet holes spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. Why this many bullet holes? Ah, what? I'm done. Okay. Look, Kim, even more bullet holes. Something's definitely gone down here. Correct. Lieutenant examines the wall closely. The density of the bullet holes is unusual, even in a general average bullet hole frequency in Martinet's sense. Grim affairs. Meaning this is a lot of bullet holes. He brushes the wall with his hand. Looks like the fully automatic rifle fire. Something you don't see these days. Why not? The manufacturing and scale of automatic rifles was curtailed after the revolution. The destructive power of such tools proved to be too much. We do need to retain some humanity in the world. Okay. There's no other purpose in here, officer. Look how scarred their boats are. All attempts to pry them off have failed. Kim, you think she's in there? The suspect? God, I hope not. I can't see a way in. He inspects the bars, though many have tried. Can I try to get in there? Not this time. The opposition is insurmountable. But I like the spirit. Have some points. It's lonely and cold without points. Oh right, yeah, we could see this place from up there, couldn't we? But we just couldn't get there. Okay, we've got a bottle. Where's his bag? Oh. Oh, can you only see bottles if you actually, like, plastic bottles if you're holding the bag? I thought it looked like we're getting there.
Yes.
Nothing. No, don't tell me we have to go all the way around. I think we have to go all the way around. Seriously, no way. Okay. Still think there was a way of getting into this building. I have no idea how though. I mean, looks like any normal person would be able to get up that ladder, but apparently not us. Maybe something that happens later. There's definitely nowhere in this way. Oh. some really good atmospheric music in this game. It's the kind of music that's just there's enough melody and harmony there for it to work with moving picture, but not too much to distract from what's going on. Metal payphone under a yellow plastic dome. You could use it to call someone unless you're out of change. Pick up the handset. And dial a random number. This feels wrong. Should you be doing this? End of tone. Someone picks up. Pierre? Is that you, Pierre? The voice is female and sounds about 100 years old. No, this is not Pierre. Do you have any news about Pierre? Who is Pierre? He's my sister's grandson. He used to visit me as a lad. Fine young man. But who are you then? A salesman of some sort? Modern goods are rubbish. I can't afford them anyhow. It's a shame what you did to our country. The woman moans about the phone lines, and the phone lines howl in unison with her. No, I'm a police officer. To hell with the police, to hell with you. Her voice is drowned in white noise. Sounds like waves washing a beach, growing in volume until the call suddenly disconnects. You get a sinking feeling. It makes you look if Lieutenant Kitsuragi overheard you. To your relief, he did not. Yeah, okay, interesting. Just call a random number. Okay. This is the church. Did it say one of the traps is up past the church? An old door worn by elements guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been opened in a while. You see a handle. Okay. What's this thing anyway? It's military, service depot of some sort. Used to service what? Probably something that is no longer there. The lieutenant looks the hunching concrete toward in front of him. Okay. Could this structure have been used to protect the shot? From here to the whirling? I can't see how. He looks southeast and blows on his fingers. The church is in the way. Okay. No, more traps. There's something here that would indicate a sniper used this place as a nest for taking the shot. Just some urban detritus, a bottle and dilapidated old comms tower. In the distance you can hear the breakers roar. I don't see it, officer. I don't see a person taking a shot here and hit something there. He looks east over the coast in the whirling in rags. Maybe the campfire was used by the perpetrator, maybe the Assailant climbed the comms tower, took the shot there. What about the cigarette butts? Those, he points at them. A smoking assailant who favours to Mutiri, to Astra or Druin. Cigarette butts are everywhere. This is a common brand for old men. Tu Mutiri was a Revicolian colony on Lilmara. The suzerainty's population was mostly Lilmaran Areopagites, up to 97%. The region was known for its tobacco export, hence the name. I want enough. Cigarettes are unimportant. Nothing is unimportant, detective. Maybe the assailant climbed the comms tower? It's not possible to climb that ladder, and even if it were, why? No platform up there to aim from. The lieutenant looks up, raising his collar. It does look extremely rickety, and wouldn't help much either. Maybe the campfire was used by the perpetrator. To warm his hands before pulling the trigger, perhaps? But anyone could have made this. The coast is specked with fires at this time of year. Truthfully, this seems like a very poor choice to take the 1.2 kilometre rifle shot from. Visibility is awful, there's water vapour everywhere. I think we can rule out B double prime, was it? Look over the water to the whirling in rags. There, 1.2 kilometres over the cold water of the bay. Blue from the distance in the air, you see the smallest rectangle barely visible. A glowing light on the third floor of the whirling in rags. With binoculars you would see a young woman's shape move behind their glass, her limbs long and slender. Scented scarf. White polo shirt. Okay, I guess the next place is the church. I'm struggling to read all this there and concentrate, so I think we'll check this bubble. And we'll call it for today. So, plot's thickening here. It's difficult to kind of draw any conclusions to things that we've seen, but I'm definitely thinking our character knows more about this than we think that he does. And there's just been a few hints about us being involved, and I'm thinking I don't think it would be us that actually killed him. Potentially, but I think it's unlikely. I just don't think that's a very satisfying twist. I think it's kind of too obvious at this point. So it's going to be interesting whatever happens. And there's definitely those two cops recognising us at the start. That unsettled me. Well, that was at the start of the previous episode, but that unsettled me. I'm not sure about what's going on there, but I think, yeah, I just need to have a sleep and a think and let it settle, and maybe something will come to the surface, or maybe we'll carry on and we'll be exactly as wise as we are at the end of this episode. So, thanks for joining us, and hope you have a good time, and I'll see you in the next step. Alright, bye.